Hi everyone, this is ZPJ. I am doing an ultimate mic shootout. It's a vocal shootout only of these four lovely mics. They're all made by Neumann, a German microphone company. They've been around a long time. This particular model on my left, your right here, is a vintage U87 from 1979. Next to that is a U87 AI. It's a little bit different. The components are different than the vintage one. Next to that is a TLM-103. And the last mic in this series is the TLM-102. These mics are all wonderful, and they all have their various applications. The U87 vintage model is really great for singing. It doesn't need any EQing in the end. It doesn't need any post-processing. It has that rich vintage sound, no harshness in the top, deep mids, deep basses. I'm not using a pop filter. I'm actually about a foot away from these mics. They're all pointing in my direction. So they are being recorded dry into Logic Pro. And I'm going to switch back and forth to have you hear what they sound like compared to one another. Now, I can hear all four of them, so I'm not hearing any difference between them because I'm hearing a mix of all four. But when I finally edit this video, you'll be able to hear only the recording made by the specific mic that I'm talking about. So let's first talk about the U87, the vintage one. And this is, it's my favorite mic. It's all of all the mics that I own. It's by far the favorite. I have Shure's, AKG's. I have a whole range of mics, and you can see them below this video. There is a list of them, and I had done a vocal test using the same setup, the same place, which is my recording studio, to make these recordings. And you can compare. In this video, you can compare side by side what these four sound like. Now, what do you think my voice sounds like in this particular, using this particular mic? Does it sound warm? Does it sound harsh? Does it sound vintage? For lack of better word, a lot of people use the word vintage, that vintage sound. I guess it's the sound from the 60s. Not that harsh, really clear, really crisp sound, but a tamed, more well-rounded sound that is easier to listen to over a long period of time. Okay, let's switch over to the U87 AI. What does that sound like? A lot of the users, singers online have stated that this mic has a harsh top end, and to some degree I agree. It does have that boost in that top range, but it can be tamed. It can be tamed with a filter. It can be tamed with an EQ, and also it can be tamed with a good preamp. I can, for example, use the Avalon 737 to tame it. Really get nice results with that. Now, what does it sound like? Let's switch back to the vintage U87 now. Do you hear any difference between the vintage U87 and now this is the U87 AI. Is there a difference? Do you hear any of that top end difference? All right, let's move over to the TLM-103. The TLM-103, the capsule, mic capsule is basically modeled on that of the U87. Not a whole lot of difference there, but the components are different. There's no transformer in this one. It is a cardioid mic, but without a transformer. So if you use a mic pre with a transformer, then you don't really need to have a transformer in your mic. And the reason why Neumann built this mic is because the idea was that if you're going to have a transformer in your preamp, you don't really need one in your mic. All you need is the basic components in this mic. Now, what does it sound like? And again, I'm going dry. Now, let's go back to the U87 AI. This is the U87 AI, and I'm speaking into that. Now, let's go back to the U87. Do you hear any difference? And now back to the TLM-103. What are the sound differences and the sound characteristics? Do you hear any difference in the top end, in the mids, in the lows? All right, now let's move over to the final mic in this shootout, not least but last, of course, the TLM-102. It is the least expensive of them. So you can buy this for under $1,000. This one, I think around 900,000. It depends on where you buy it. The U87 is over 3,000. The vintage one is 5,000-7,000, sometimes more. This is in really good condition. Now you cannot buy these anymore, so that's why they're expensive. They're collectible, and especially one like this that's in really mint condition. They are quite pricey. So is the price difference worth it? Now I'm still speaking into the TLM-102. The mic capsule is a bit smaller than that of the TLM-103, so theoretically it shouldn't pick up as much of the deeps. But of course, the closer I get to speaking to it, the deeper it gets. But the one big problem with getting too close is the plosives. Now, all of these mics are condenser mics. They are condenser mics, and now these two are in cardioid only, so there's no switch on them for any polar patterns, and there's no roll-off switch either to dampen the lows in case you're putting it up to, for example, a mic cabin, or you're trying to mic a drum, especially the bass drum, the kick drum. So these two mics, the vintage U87 and the U87 AI, they do have polar patterns. Now they're set for cardioid. They can go omni, figure eight, and cardioid. They do have roll-off switches, so they do have a lot more features than these ones. They have the transformers. So the transformers give them a better tonality, more body. It's richer. But if you run this into a nice preamp, especially one that has a transformer already in it, then you get that full body experience. People say that the Avalon doesn't have that body because it's a tube and it has that tubist sound. But my God, the creaminess you can get out of these mics using the Avalon 737 is phenomenal. It's like butter. It's like putting creamy butter on beautiful, fresh baked bread. Now, my doggy is just walking here. You know, she's got her little claws touching the ground. So the mics, they do pick up the ambient sounds, especially because they are condenser mics, so they're not dynamic. I've got a lot of dynamic mics. They're much better at not picking up the ambient noise. The doggy walking and just bumping into the door, all of that sound is just being picked up. So unless you have a really well treated room with no one there, a studio, these mics can be very tricky to record with. But nonetheless, if you have, and today I have some quiet time, kids are at school, wife's out with her friends and one of my sons, so I got some quiet time. Now the dog is not quiet, but it's good for you to hear that background noise, see how it picks up. All right, let me do a little bit of singing. Again, I'm not warmed up, it's just going to be something very simple. Into the U87, the vintage. I know that love is just a rainbow for you and I. Now the U87 AI. I know that love is just a rainbow for you and I. The TLM-103. I know that love is just a rainbow for you and I. The TLM-102. I know that love is just a rainbow for you and I. All right. Let's bring this video to an end. What do you think? Well, is there a considerable difference between these mics? Is the sound, does the sound justify the price tag? And they are by the same company, and if you of course have the funds, then you can get the Neumann vintage. You still need a good month's worth of labor for most people to buy the U87, if you're lucky. In a lot of developing countries, that's not even possible. It might take years to buy that mic. The TLM-102 is it's more affordable. The TLM-103 is more affordable, and the TLM-102 is the most affordable of all these mics. Does the price tag of these mics justify their value, and does it make enough difference to justify for you to spend that much more for stepping up? So step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I did start out with this. I did move to that. I did move to that after, and then on to this. In my view, I do music recording here in my studio. I've written over 100 songs, recorded them, and for me, the added value that these mics bring in terms of the quality of sound really does justify the value that I have to, the monetary value that I have to put into it, to purchase it, to acquire it. But that's my opinion. What is your opinion? What do you think? Well, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. And please don't forget to hit that like button. Do subscribe. I really, really appreciate your subscription. Thank you so much. ZPJ over and out.